Why do supermarket apples taste so bad? Kevin Hauser here with the Couple Creek Apple Nursery. It's the old familiar story. Bright red, beautiful, shiny apple. You bite into it, tastes awful. How come? Well, we're to blame for the most part because we get what we want as consumers. And the retailers, the store clerks, they stock what sells. And what sells is beautiful, red, shiny apples. They want it to be uniform. They want it to all match each other while they're sitting there on the shelves. They want it to be shiny, and they want these apples every day of the year. And this is nothing new. Even back in the late 1800s, the apples that sold the best were horrible apples. It was a variety called Ben Davis. Now, by all accounts, it was a beautiful apple, and when it was grown up north where it grew slowly in the cold weather, they kept like a cobblestone. They were hard as a rock until almost fully ripe. They were able to scoop them up with coal shovels and throw them into boxcars and then pack them into barrels and clamp the lid down tight, and they still arrived to the market in a decent way. And once you got it home, they would keep in the refrigerator or the ice box, or they would keep in the fruit bowl forever. Now, there are several schools of thought of what they tasted like. The Ben Davis taste was compared to sawdust, and then there's another camp that says, nah, you guys are all wet. It tastes like cardboard. And the other one says, nah, it tastes like cotton with a red skin. Basically, you get the picture. It was a horrible tasting apple, but it sold like crazy. In fact, a lot of farmers that grew them considered it the mortgage lifter because they were able to pay off their farms by growing Ben Davis apples. Now, by the late 1800s, it was getting so bad that Stark Brothers Nursery held a competition for seedling apples to try to come up with a replacement for Ben Davis that tasted better. And the winner of this competition was a variety called Delicious. Clarence Stark had already picked out that name, and when he bit into this apple, he said, "That's delicious." Now, the Delicious apple that Clarence Stark bit into is much different than the Red Delicious you see on the store today. First of all, it was green with red stripes. It had a much different shape, and it had a very pleasing taste to it. In fact, I consider it very, very good. We're still able to get it today. And I'll slice a piece of this and I'll give it to people and says, "Guess what variety this is?" And they'll bite into it and say, that's good. But they'll have no clue what it is, but there's something familiar about it, and once I tell them it's delicious, I thought, but it's the precursor to the Red Delicious. See, what happened to it, they took this great tasting apple, and a sport or a bud mutation appeared on one tree that had a redder color. And this redder color version of it became Red Delicious, which is what you saw exclusively by the 1920s. It was much more marketable. Unfortunately, it didn't have the same flavor. And over the years, they've been selectively bred to either ripen earlier or get this color before it is ripe and to ship better. And every one of these improvements for the marketability detracted from the taste of it. Rome Beauty was once one of the most important commercial apples. In our local mountains, all the pioneer trees that I see, 80% of them are Rome Beauty. And it's a fantastic apple, especially right off the tree. It just has a sprightly, lively, spicy flavor to it. Keeps pretty well in the crisper drawer, makes killer cider, killer pies. But a redder sport of it appeared that had nice, deep red, solid red skin. And this is what you see in the market. It's not Rome Beauty, it's Red Rome. And even though it's a lot prettier than regular Rome Beauty, the flavor just is not there. There's no comparison between the two flavors. But if the two of them were sitting on the supermarket shelf, this is one that would sell like hotcakes, and the other one would probably just sit there. And so we're sending a message to the retailer, this is what we want, stock more of these. Same with Golden Delicious. Golden Delicious started out when it was first discovered as this beautiful golden apple. It had these dots on it, conspicuous dots called lenticles. Those are the gas valves. And it had what's called a russet cap. It's kind of like a brown rough area that's similar to a russet potato on the cap. And these are all considered fatal marketing flaws, and so what the Golden Delicious turned into is this beautiful, smooth, shiny, no russet on the top. This is what you see on the market now as Yellow Delicious, and once again it's been selectively bred to look like this, but the flavor, flavor just is not there. No comparison whatsoever to the original Golden Delicious. Granny Smith. Granny Smith is actually a sweet apple, but you never know it by what you see in the store, because ones in the store are picked before they're ripe so that they're uniform and green and smooth and shiny, and one looks like the other there on the shelf. But if allowed to ripen, Granny Smith has like a yellow hue to it, sometimes with pink shoulders, and has this wonderfully sweet, kind of a vanilla aromatic flavor to it that's just fantastic. But it needs a great amount of heat to achieve this, and here in Riverside in California we get a lot of heat, and man, it just ripens some fantastic ripe Granny Smiths. Now, to store these apples, it used to be during the summer months we would get apples from reverse climates. Let's say they came from Chile or Argentina, and those in Europe would get them from like South Africa or Australia, and you would get apples from another climate during the summer month because the apples that we had stored are pretty much gone. But now there's been an advent called CA storage, controlled atmosphere storage. That's where, first of all, the apples are scrubbed really good. They are dipped in fungicide and then polished with carnauba wax to replace the natural wax that was scrubbed off of them. Carefully packed in cardboard boxes with these paper lumpy liners to keep them from touching each other. Then they're put into a warehouse where the temperature is lowered to just above freezing. And then the carbon dioxide level is raised, and the oxygen level is lowered, and the nitrogen is flushed through the system. And all these levels are carefully monitored through this. And what this does is it puts the apple in suspended animation to keep it from ripening any further. Now, for this to work, they have to be just before they are ripe when they are picked, and so they have different tests that they do on the apples with pressure and sugars. And they pick them just before they're ripe and put them in the controlled atmosphere storage. And they come out crisp, juicy, they look fantastic, but the flavor, they didn't have great flavor going into storage because they weren't completely ripe yet, and the months in storage doesn't always help the flavor at all. There's some apples that survive better than others. Pink Lady comes through pretty good, Envy comes through pretty good, but like Fuji, they get this formaldehyde bland taste to them that's just not pleasant at all. So what to do? If you want great apples, what's a consumer to do? Gee, I have a fantastic idea. Why don't you grow your own apples? Hey, what a coincidence. We can help you with that. We start taking out orders in October and start shipping in February. So until next time, like and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. I'm Kevin Hauser with the Culpeper Creek Apple Nursery.